Hey, what is up guys, it's your boy Dwyer here. This video on shea once again, but this time in Galgoria 6, and I'll show you a way to get a 100% result on a pretty nasty team. It won't be free, it will be hard to get, however it is plausible. Now the team looks like this: Galgoria, Lomani, Solid, Shea, Celine, Lockrock, and this guy. And of course I have some of them invested, but it gives me a 100% success rate. And to just show a little bit of luck, let's open these up and absolutely get nothing. Now this seems interesting, but 9 out of 10 times I absolutely get nothing interesting. Open them up. Trash, trash, trash. Okay. Well, this is interesting. This one might actually be good for shea now that you need a lot of attack speed for your healers. However, it is still an earring. I'm not quite sure whether I like it. So let us start with a run. What we're looking at is Loma nearly dying at the start, and it always is a hassle to see what is Shea gonna start out with. Are we just gonna die straight away? I'm getting barfed on. What the hell? Stop it, you big three-headed snake. Is that the best rebuttal that you got? But from the looks of it, I can still keep myself alive with my shade just going on. And the moment everybody will have more mana, that means that all of my backline characters will keep healing even when I'm using S2. Because what S2 basically does is very simple. If people are on full health, you will get a little bit of heal. As for the S1, will give you a lot of attack reduction, which allows for more survivability as well. With Gua Gua and his stun rate on that vortex is actually looking better. And then coming up with some more attack speed buffs, it will allow for so much uptime on my buffs. There we go. Is it 100%? Probably. Could the AI be better? Most likely. Is the damage good enough? Yes, sir. So this is looking quite fire. So what we're basically looking out for is making sure that Isolate will have this green stack up to 4 as fast as possible. The way that you can participate in this is simply having the S1, a dark version that makes the amount of seconds uptime on the buffs, not 7 but 12 seconds. Funny enough, if I would change anything on this team for more damage, it would be Rebel Claws or DLK in here, but I highly doubt that they will increase the success rate of the run because Shea tends to die herself. And with the attack speed buff, it is just looking clean. And here's a fun fact: Celine hitting 1.2 million damage with no Audi and a lot of bust ass over here. What does it mean to do this kind of damage? Oh, never mind. There will be one that's coming up even further, and that is Guradi. Because we see that S1 popping up, and the moment you have one character on that maximum damage, the other one that is capable is following suit. So the moment Gladi gets his buffs up, he will exceed that damage, which will mean that my Celine will climb even higher when she gets the chance. Goes up, soul weapons, all that ShamWow. S1, here we go, Damahe. Can we get some more? Oh, we didn't even have soul weapon yet. My shade is obviously A2 at this point. I'm not quite sure whether this is necessary or not because the recent buff made her absolutely strong. However, you will need a pretty decent heal to get her by. So the attack isn't that high. It is 350k attack. And her attack speed is probably the thing that is the most substantial. Now, I found that if you go over about 2000 attack speed, you will have a 100% uptime on trance. However, this doesn't mean 100% uptime on the one skill that might be necessary, and that is the S1. Because this damage reduction allows for so much, and I mean so much survivability. So probably with even more attack speed, you might get a 100% up chance because the trance stacks for 12 seconds and the uptime on this skill is 8 seconds. So there is still, even if you have a 100% uptime on the trance, not have 100% uptime on these skills. This means that even the CC resistance is not 100% uptime. So if you do want to use her for something that needs CC immunity, you might want to reinvest into some attack speed. Now, another thing that you can think about is then upgrading the UT4, because this thing on base will give you more attack speed as well. I'm not sure what happened to the font, but this is not how it should be. As for the perks that I was using, this one more damage, this one more damage, this one more defense, and oh, never mind, more damage. So this one gives attack, and it might be debatable whether you want to have more heal of all allies when used. Reason why is the more mana that every one of your characters has, the more the S2 will heal. But I kind of found out that even if I do that, the survivability doesn't become that much more. So I'd rather just get the blessing of mana, get the attack speed. And luckily with this team, the one that is dying the most is Shea herself. Reason why her S2 costs mana, and you might not be having all that much mana yourself. So you want to be looking for a lot of MP recovery per second, and note that this is not even enough. So if I do want to change anything up here is any of these lines need MP per second, and probably any of these lines need attack speed. So there's a lot of reforging that can be done to make this even better. As for my Isolde, now this can be on the lowest investment possible because she is a support. She won't be doing any damage, so a 1-star on this, no soul weapon, and just a few unique treasures to get by will allow her to live. Give her a little bit of M block and give her an M toughness, and she will rarely die. Obviously, you see a 5-star crown, that is hard to get by. Why are you showing this? I don't know, man, it works. As for the perks, it is simply this: more damage onto all of your allies, give her a little bit more MP because otherwise she won't be gaining all that much. Then you have the extra ignition on this. Now it is very debatable because of one thing. If you increase the ignition time with the S1 Dark, you will be getting not 7 but 12 seconds of uptime on this thing. The chance of this thing then actually proccing will give you more healing rate reduction, which will also mean more damage in the long run, which will also mean, if you look at this one, increases additional heal rate by 10%, which has a stack of 4, will give you 40% more heal rate. The chances of that actually happening is very high. So do keep that in mind, that it could end up helping. As for one of my mans, 100 grand obviously does an insane amount of damage, and I want this dude to do the most damage. Funny enough, if you put a Blessing of Earth on him, he will do the most damage and he will receive the crown anyway. Now there's a few things which I could have done, but for me the crit rate seems to give me the highest damage ever possible instead of getting the War God state, because you will get locked down anyway, which means the uptime itself doesn't mean all that. Does it mean that the S2 Dark gives me more? Probably not. I tried it with the target weakness, but still the damage was lower. Reason why: Galgoria lowers crit rate, which means that you will need the extra crit rate to make sure to do maximum damage. However, if you have a dispeller like Lucius that does a continuous dispel, you might readjust and actually pick this one. And if I had any TM gear, I would do more damage. So for pure stats, I went for a little bit of crit rate, and the attack speed is fairly low in comparison to what it could have been. That means the overall damage might even be higher if I got more attacks. As for my Loman, the ability to survive resides within the magical defense that he has. Now I picked a UT4 for a reason, because it says increases on M block, which is all about this boss, right? Magical damage, you need to block it, and the endurance stacks will give you another thing, and that is attack reduction, 20%. This will have a 100% uptime for what I know really ridiculous if you do want to survive. Now, coming with the lot of magical defense comes the T5 Dark, which means that part of Loman's magical defense will be transferred to you on the characters. Broken. Now, you won't be hit all the time, and if you do knock this thing down and there's a bad rotation where he blows you away, you will still die. But in terms of general survivability, especially at the start, this thing is a must-have. Having more shields up, meaning more CC immunity, having a little bit more survivability will allow you to do better. One thing I could change is, instead of having all MP recovery on attack, I could take 1 M toughness in there. Now my lady of the hour is Celine. Now she got gear that might be questionable, because this is 95% HP, 25% damage times 3, and one time of the 3 times 12 damage. Now obviously the fight shouldn't take that long, and if you can burst it down, it would really be good, but the chances of you not actually being able to use this extra damage is very high. However, with Shea's continuous healing, this chance goes up by a mile. So the perks that I'm using: maximum stacks, which means a more crit rate, because for every stack you get 100 crit. And if I look at the base crit rate that I have 100% crit rate regardless of the debuff. And you will need Mortal Wound to make sure that this whole thing doesn't recover all that much. Next one up is one of my boys, Lockrock, recently made the dude for some PvP, but I found out he can be used for practically anything. And well, with the Infernal Whip and the way that I set the dude up, he does a fair amount of damage, not a whole lot, but with the special bullet perk attack reduction and the amplified gunpowder, which gives you more damage, the rest of the team will deal more damage as well. As for the trump card, somebody on my stream said to me, yo, you're using Chase but you're dying, why not just use Gua Gua? I did. We got a 100% success rate, which used to be about 60-ish. And what this dude provides is very simple. One of them is the S3 stun, which will give you a lot of stun bar reduction. Second of all, gives you a lot of base attack on the rest of your team. Gives you attack speed. That is what Glady needs, baby. And then last but not least, you have a target attack reduction effect on the S1. With 100% uptime, cooldown of 8 seconds, uptime of 10 seconds. Okay, I like this. Does this dude need any investment? Absolutely not. As for the perks that he used, it is just this: cooldown reduction by 3 seconds, which means stun bar goes up, survivability on the T5 dark, a little bit of HP and whatever, and with this extra attack speed boost to the rest of the party, guess what? Everybody will have a attack speed boost cap, which is also addressing the Shea fact, where she will be able to heal really good. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the content. Hope you guys enjoyed, found this helpful. If you guys did, make sure to like and sub if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.